luck, the nest is just in there, and it looks like one of the eggs may have actually been lost. I can only see one egg there in a very rudimentarily designed nest. And what I'm guessing has happened, I've just moved on to the other side of the nest below where you are, and I've found some remnants of a shell. And because that nest is so flat and not very bowl shaped, I'm guessing in all of the stormy weather with all the wind, one of the eggs probably got blown out. And here you can see at least nothing's gone to waste and something has already fed on it. But this was the egg.
Heard Brent explaining this yesterday. This has got a clubbed antenna. You can see it looks like a club, and a club, for our younger viewers, in South Africa we call it a knobkerrie, and it's thin at one end and with a big ball on the other end. That's what a club is. And you can see this chap, he's lost his one antenna, but he's got one club antenna left. Now the other thing I want to show you, I think he's coming to the end of his days. You can see the teeth. Well, they're not teeth, but they look like, you can see the mouth parts underneath there. It's just amazing, the detail in these incredible things. Alright, so we're going to set him free. There he goes. And while he flies off into the gorgeous sunset, let's go and see Brent, and I'll keep you posted with anything else we find out here.
So we have been scouring the bush, checking all the likely areas for either shadow karula or tingana, who were all seen yesterday. Unfortunately, no luck. So I'm going to take a gamble. I'm heading off Djuma. Let's go see what's happening on Arathusa. So we're going to go check around, maybe around the airstrip. Maybe we'll find some baby impalas there. From a lion update, the Birminghams have moved further south. Unfortunately, they didn't come towards us, all 5 of them, and a Styx lioness they're mating with. There is the Mangen pride, or the Tsalala breakaway pride, far to the west of us, outside of our traverse area. And so, in an effort to try and improve our comms on Arathusa, you'll see I have a handheld radio that's talking moment with an incredibly long aerial. So hopefully this will, if anything's found, I'll know about it as soon as possible. So no one's found any leopard today. Tracks, not even tracks. There we go, on cue. Well-trained woodlands. Must have read the script. Very much a sound of summer. So not the best view, so we'll leave them be. Hopefully we can get you a nice close-up shortly. But I'm going to go to a section of Arathusa. I don't often drive down this road. This is the Triple M road. This road actually runs through the whole middle of the Sabi Sands, all the way from Gowrie Gate, which is the northern gate. And if you kept on a straight line with this road, it would eventually end up at Shaw's Gate, which is the southern entrance gate to the Sabi Sands. So I'm going to go right down to the end of Arathusa and come in below the airstrip and see if anything's there. So we don't often check this road, so as far as I know, there are no updates around, so might as well check somewhere we don't go too often. Never know. Good place to check for tracks after the rain. It's very difficult to see tracks after the rain. But these roads, what happens is they're quite well used, and when people drive down them, they sort of splash mud to the edge. You can see that sort of darker coloration on the end, and that after a bit of sun does remain a little bit soft. So it is one of the only places you do get nice clear tracks at this time of the year after some rain. So we're going to carry on checking down here, and while we do that, I hear Jamie's found a reptile.
And one thing that this afternoon's drive is bringing us is all manner of interesting things that we actually don't always get to see. We got another forward. Brian can't see it from his perspective. Mongoose as well. That's interesting. All clustered around those two lizards, how comfortable they are sharing the same space. Now what those monitor lizards will do, if they were mating, which is a possibility, when the female is ready to lay her eggs, she's going to find a nice spot in that termite mound. It's something that rock monitors are famous for, and they dig into the side of the termite, lay their eggs, and then leave the termites to repair the hole that they've made. So the termites essentially build up and around the eggs, give them a nice warm incubate, as well as a nice safe place away from any predators, and it sort of masks the smell of them as well. And she'll use termite mounds as an incubator. Here we go. I think that is. Three's a crowd, mongoose, I think.
Thanks to Jean here, in the hope that it's going to come out again very shortly. Basically, it's probably waiting at the entrance to its burrow, which is just ahead of us, and earlier on we spent about 10 or 15 minutes there and eventually decided it would probably...
That's what these lizards are after as well, whilst keeping in each other at the same time. Now earlier I saw that mongoose go right up next to them, so the two of them are clearly perfectly comfortable in each other's company. Just want to see how this situation plays out. Mongoose is examining all of the tufts of grass at the base of the tufts of grass, looking for insects. The animals must be reveling in the weather that we've been having at the moment, after a long and very difficult dry season. We've got some very interesting examples happening here of animals being perfectly content in each other's company. And Heidi, you want to know the different examples of animal symbiosis in Africa. This is a possible example, although I wouldn't go so far as to say it's a regular relationship. But both the mongoose and the lizards are after termites, so it's quite alright to be around each other. There's plenty of food access, and it means that there's extra eyes to keep an eye out for threats. But some of the most important examples, mongoose, and I've spoken about it before, mongoose and hornbills, the yellow-billed and the red-billed hornbills quite often, quite often follow foraging. Still being closely watched. Now, so many examples to your question, from impala and baboons, with impala moving around where baboons are feeding underneath fruit trees to get all of the scraps that they drop, and the baboons providing an extra warning. time the honey guide gets access to the wax, one of the few bird species, in fact few animal species that can, lizards moving around each other. Mongoose has popped his head in just to see what's going on. Here, now the other lizard's on its way down. I love watching the way they move. Interesting information from Tony. He's saying that plated lizards are highly territorial and live in family groups. That could be what we are watching here, but recent studies, apparently, according to Tony, have suggested that there's some level of parental care, which of course is very unusual in the reptile world, at least in the sort of the lizard and the snake world. You get the odd example, but that's really interesting information. Thank you, Tony. I did not know that. I do know that plated lizards are not only fond of termites, but they also really enjoy flowers as well. I've seen them snacking on the various flowers that you get around here. They're probably reveling in this temperature. It's very hot and very humid, and of course is cold-blooded, to use the old-fashioned terms, as animals that are reliant on external temperatures. It must be nice to have the warmth, but not the beating heat of the sun, because it is very warm and it's very humid, but they're not exposed to direct sunlight, so they're not overheating. As I said that, the sun rays came out and highlighted the lizard beautifully. I imagine that if we're working on Tony's information, these two could well be part of the same family group. It's interesting to see a sociable reptile. It's not something that you generally see. And there certainly isn't the same level of bonding or contact as there would be between, say, the members of the mongoose family that are also running around here. It's still fascinating to watch. And the sun making its final breakthrough after an dim and cloudy afternoon. So interesting to watch the power in those little bodies, the muscle power that allows them to move the way that they do. Dennis, I originally mistook these lizards for rock monitors. Now, rock monitors are actually quite fearsome predators out here, whereas the giant plated lizards don't pose nearly as much of a threat. And you were wondering if the dwarf mongoose might have reacted differently to a leguan or a rock monitor. And I think at this sort of size, they might be okay with it, depending on if they have any babies around, the mongoose that is, and if they feel in any way threatened. Our mongoose could definitely alarm call to get the rest of the group to come and join him and try and mob the leguan and send it on its way. And I definitely think you're right. I think it's actually the most stunning light as well. The sun just breaking through the clouds, making everything look vibrantly green. And as the sun breaks through the clouds, let us go up into the sky and see what you can see from there.
So isn't this incredible? We've got our eyes in the sky, and look at that African sky. It doesn't get much more spectacular than that. A huge thunderstorm and this incredible light that's just lighting up the bushes. And isn't this magnificent? Drakensberg Mountains right in the distance. And at this time of the day we get those wonderful long shadows that you can see from up there, and everything sort of looks a lot taller than it is. And you can see that storm in large cumulonimbus clouds. You actually can't even see the top of the anvil. It's buried in the clouds. And just to the southwest of us, getting some good rain. So we're sitting on the ground here, and you can see this incredible light, and there's another termite emergence, and we're just catching the sort of gorgeous movement of these termites through the light. There we go, you can just catch the light catching their wings as they fly past us. It's moments and afternoons like this when it's very easy to believe in magic. But I've spotted something. Oh, it moved while I was talking. Let's go see if we can catch up with it before it disappears. This particular animal will make one of our directors a very happy camper. She has a very strong affinity for them, so I'm not going to give it away what it is just yet. See it, Voldy? Oh yeah. Okay, let's move forward a bit. We'll try to get a bit closer. We'll just make sure we get a view of it. And I'm quite sure this creature's also been feasting on the termites. There we go. Look, you can see there's a warthog eating termites. And an Egyptian goose in the foreground. So we'll try and get a little bit closer, and while we do that, we're going to go off to another really beautiful and interesting little insect.
Well, it certainly is the golden hour, and happy to hear you guys have been spoilt with some magnificent views of Djuma and Arathusa. But now we're back to ground level, grassroots, and we found an animal with incredible camouflage. Take a closer look, and as Jandre slowly zooms in, you may find it difficult to spot this critter. But as he takes you in closer and closer, you may start to work out that this is a grasshopper of sorts. and it's got remarkable camouflage, just like leaf litter, and quite a big one, quite a chunky one. Haven't seen one like this before, and again, thanks to Jean-Andre, he spotted it. Such awesome insect life around at the moment, and I'm told you got some great views of even more flying termites emerging. I actually, interestingly enough, saw some. The different type to the small ones that are emerging today, those are probably harvested termites. The large termites in this area are the fungus growing termites, which make these massive mounds. And when the reproductive flying termites leave those mounds, they leave out of this strange kind of slits within the side of the mound that's shaped like a smiling mouth. So it's kind of like a smiley face. And I saw the worker termites, together with the soldiers actually, hard at work, building these little smiley faces on the termite mounds, and these are the platforms that the reproductive termites are going to take off from. So in the coming days, possibly even this evening or tomorrow, those reproductive termites are going to have their airstrips built for them, and they are going to start emerging, and that's going to be great because they're a little bit bigger and they're going to be easier for us to film and for us to show you. Let's carry on, and Jean-Andre just wants to show you, I think, one last look at this little grasshopper. Oh no, it's hopped off, so we're going to leave it and carry on. It is a wonderful, wonderful stage of the evening, and we're not too far from where we parked the vehicle. And very, very happy to hear that my friend Matty, who's on the safari with us, is loving all the bugs and the insects, and I'm glad you are, Matty. It's not just the elephants. They all have their certain job to do out here, and as soon as you take a few of the animals out of this ecosystem, even big animals, like I said, the elephant and lion, they may start to suffer. We're going to continue on. Like I say, we're not too far from the vehicle, and we'll hopefully be able to say goodbye to you before we get there. But once the sun sets, we want to start thinking about being in a safe area. We don't want to be on foot after dark. We're going to send you across to James in the safari tent for an update on what he may have in store for you there.
Right, what an amazing golden sheen has been cast about the Lowveld by this unbelievable sunset going down here. Incredible stuff with Scott, incredible stuff with the drone and Brent. Now, what we've got here is a jumping spider, and the jumping spider is sitting under here, and what we'll do is we'll take you over to have a look at the computer screen here, where you can see his eyes. Isn't that amazing? Look at his eyes there. And down I'll go to try and get a look at his feet, at least his pedipalps. Look at his pedipalps, very fine hairs on his pedipalps. He's now moving, of course, because he's a bit camera shy, our friend here. Beautiful white hairs on the back of his body. Look at that. It really is astonishing. Look at the hair and the detail on the back of his abdomen. Now this little chap, you can't really see from where you are, is probably about half a centimeter long. He's a tiny little fellow. There we go. And Jeffrey in Austin, Texas, you want to know if we could try and get hold of a butterfly or a moth, where we could look at the scales of the wings. Jeffrey, as much as we'd like to do that, we will certainly try if we can find a dead moth or a dead butterfly. We're not going to kill one, we're not going to collect them. That is the euphemism, of course, that you find in a lot of textbooks around the place. They say 3 specimens were collected. What they mean is brutally plucked from the arms of life and thrown into the chasm of death, and then pinned to some board or somewhat. Sometimes I think it's okay, but out here we won't do that. So we will definitely try and find a recently deceased moth or butterfly, Jeffrey, and see if we can't show you the wings. Now, what we've got going on here is the drone, and there's quite a nice herd of impala there. So let's go ahead across to the drone and we'll try and tell you what's going on with a beautiful herd of impala. Right, so as with the last one, lots of females there, and you can see that they're coming out into the clearings now. There you can see the extent of the clearings there, and a whole lot more impala, and maybe there's a baby there. Wouldn't it be fantastic if we spotted a baby from the air? Most likely though, those babies, the extent of it, let's try and count them. Well, we can't do that unfortunately, and Andrew is flying at too great a speed. I think Andrew does and coming into frame now, you should be able to see. Oh no, you can't see us. There we are. We're miles away from where I thought we were. We're top left. That's us there, the green. That's Eugene's little car parked behind the garden. A natural clearing, and it's an important part of the biology of this reserve. This was definitely a cleared area, and I'm just going to come outside and wave at you quickly. Oops. We'll give you a quick wave. There we are. Hello everybody. Eugene and Louise is up here. But this clearing that we're standing in fact natural. We're being attacked by a swarm of angry bumblebees. We don't know what this area would have looked like before the 1800s. There are no oral records of it because of the tsetse flies and the mosquitoes that used to be in the area. There was no kind of definitive record of what this area looked like. So some of the areas are cleared, some of them are left to themselves, and I tend towards the school of thought that says we should probably clear a little bit more. I think there are far fewer elephants, and there have been elephants absent for a very long time in an area like this. Okay, let's have a quick look once more at the sunset. Beautiful, look at those thunderheads. There was some isolated thunder showers off there towards the mountains, and what a picture of the Drakensberg and the extent of them. That's the northern reaches of South Africa's most famous and most beautiful mountain range, the Drakensberg, or Dragon's Back, as the Boers called it when they set about coming over it in their ox wagons in the mid-19th century. Just astonishing stuff. Beautiful. Right. I think what we'll do now is head across to Brent Leo Smith and let's see what he's looking at. He looks like he's found the first foam nest, frog's nest of the season. Let's go across to him. I'll see you just now.
So we've got the first foam nest frog of the season, or called greyback tree frog. So that little white ball there, or not so much a ball, white protrusion from the dead tree, is above a waterhole, and so the frogs form that nest and lay their eggs inside, and the inside stay moist, and the tadpoles actually hatch and feed off a sort of sack in the eggs to get nice and big and strong before they drop. And this one's quite a high one, from that incredible height down into a lovely little pan here on the edge of the Arathusa airstrip, and so it enables the frogs to have a safe start to life and get a little bit of, or the tadpoles get a little bit of size before having to deal with all the predators. We've got some noisy blacksmith lapwings on the edge of the water. There we go, look at that, almost a perfect reflection. So perfect. I think I might take a photograph. I encourage you guys to do the same with screenshots, and remember to share them on the Safari Live Facebook page, or, oh of course Murphy's Law starts moving, or just use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So they'll be very happy. They don't have to stay at Arathusa or Djuma waterholes. They've got a few more to wander around. You can see the sun setting behind us. It is an absolutely spectacular evening. we're going to keep going, and who knows what else might be out there. Well, speaking of what else might be out there, I didn't have to go very far to find a flower. Grab it for you. There we go. Very pretty flower. Beautiful yellow flower. We're going to start seeing quite a lot of them now. I'm afraid it does not, as far as I remember, have a common English name, but it does have a Latin name. It is called Corcorus asplenifolia, and I'm pretty sure the asplenifolia has got something to do with those splendid yellow blooms. Very, very beautiful. You can see very distinct serrated edge to the leaves and a really beautiful bright yellow flower. So very exciting. Lots of wildflowers are going to be popping up shortly, and on these short grass areas like around Quarantine and the Arathusa airstrip, we're going to start finding some really fantastic, really beautiful little flower species. Oh, there's a herd of impala. Always worthwhile checking for babies at this time of the year. There's a few. They must have just moved in, and they would have marched. VM's going to try and get a few. He's quite close. Oh. There we go. You can even see his eyes there. A little terrapin. He's moved into this little pan. And they too would have been feasting off the termites. And you probably find what he's doing now is cruising on the surface, looking for any little termites that might have landed and got stuck. There we go. Is that a termite there? Oh, there we go. He's going in for the kill. Hop! There we go. He's got him. So we have seen a kill this evening. It is a little terrapin hunting for termites. I think if we stay a little bit longer, we might see him pop up. There are some more termites on the surface of the water. I can see a little bit further away. Oh, there we go. Chop. As I said, these little alates are a time of plenty. So we're going to have lots of fat birds and lots of fat reptiles and terrapins after all these termites being out. And unfortunately I had a bit of breakup on my radio there, but I think I worked out what it was. Dennis is saying there's actually a species of turtle, one of the snapping turtles, I didn't quite hear which one, that actually feeds off waterfowl. Possibly, I don't know, but I know that an alligator snapping turtle feeds off quite big things and is actually one of the most powerful bites in the world. And there we go. Isn't that great? Little terrapin feast. So I think Dennis might be asking whether they would prey on those goslings. Not here. We don't really get terrapins that are big enough for that. But where I was in Gabon, you got soft-shelled turtles, Aubrey's and Nile, that were massive. I mean, as big as this whole front of the vehicle, and they definitely would have fed off a small baby waterfowl. So we've got those impala. Just want to have a quick perusal of them, see if there's any babies. And there's also a black-bellied bustard in that spot. So there, they're impala. Let's have a quick look There's some boys, they're not going to have any babies. Maybe a little bit to the right there were some girls. And there's that little black-bellied bustard, probably also glutting itself on adults. And the sun is starting to set, and at that time of the evening, those of us who are on the bushwalk, and today it's Scott.
Isn't it remarkable to see them so close? And this little camera's got a mighty zoom. What an evening it's been. Magical clouds out to the west. They could well be bringing more rain. Makes our lives tricky, but it's a necessity for this Safari Live animals to get this much needed water. So even though it sometimes makes our life a bit tricky like this morning, it's a must for the environment, and hopefully those clouds out to the west are going to bring us some more much needed rain. Anyway, it's time for us to say goodbye and start heading back towards camp. I've loved having you guys on foot with me. Thank you so much. Well done to Jean-Andre for doing some more wonderful camera work, and also to Nikki, Tara and all the girls in Final Control. Thanks very much, and I'm going to head off into the sunset.
Hello everybody, I wasn't really expecting that to come so fast. Never mind, here we are. I've got something quite interesting to show you. I'm first going to show you the picture, which is slightly more impressive than the special microscope prepared one that I've got here. Now, that is a banded rubber frog, and it is the only truly toxic frog that we have here. If you were to put one of those in your mouth, you'd get pretty sick, but they're not particularly dangerous. They're not anything like some of the South American species, and I know a lot of the South American Indians use poisons on the back of frogs to poison their arrows. Steph actually found a beetle called a flea beetle just now. Unfortunately, it's called a flea beetle because it jumps, and it jumped away. But the bushmen from here used to use the larvae of that beetle to poison their arrows here. Anyway, they don't use the banded rubber frog, but if you look down here, that used to be a banded rubber frog. Perfectly preserved, possibly by the tires of a Land Cruiser as it drove through the night. Unfortunately, these things do pop on. From what I can see on the screen, there's a rather pleasant development in the golden light of the sun. Of course, what else would it be? Sitting on the lee of a termite mound. Some beautiful, beautiful hyenas. We'll see you just now.
Brian and myself have come full circle. We started our morning here and we have returned here for the last few moments of light to find three very flat hyenas. It's obviously been a long day for them. They are absolutely fast asleep in a very curious mixture of positions, starting with our favorite matriarch, who is lying like the lady she is, in a very comfortable pose. And a little while ago she had her head tilted towards us. It almost looked as though she was smiling in contentment. I wonder, she obviously didn't spend the day too far away from her young cub, who has passed out next to Mom, and apparently it's going to keep doing it. Looked like it had the hiccups earlier. And I think it actually gives us quite a good opportunity. Yep, there's a little bit of a hiccup. Trying to see if I can work out if it's a boy or a girl. As most of you know, that's quite a tricky experience to guess the sex of a hyena cub, unless you've really got a good look at either the penis or the pseudo-penis, depending on if it's a male or a female. That to me looks like a boy, just looking at it from that angle. I think those are testicles that we can see. Males have very, very tiny testicles, so it can be tricky. but I think that this cub is a little boy. And then up at the top, looking as though she's found the most, she's going to wake up with a sore neck. She must surely wake up with a sore neck. Is the mother of the newest addition to our Djuma family, and lying with her head curved around and down into the entrance of the den. The little cub, I'm not too sure. It could be on the other side of her, suckling. I did see her just now move her leg as though she was trying to shift away from something. So the little cub could be having a drink, could also be in the den, of course. And we're going to be spending as much time as possible from now with these hyenas, because that cub is so young, our new addition, that we cannot sit with a spotlight on it. It just is far too young for that experience. So as soon as it gets too dark for us to see them, we will have to leave. But for now, we've got the last few rays of the sun keeping things illuminated for us. And we have probably what sounds like a new viewer, and a big welcome to Minbok Animal. It is great to have you on board with us. You want to know if it's rare to see a big cat, and no, for us absolutely it isn't. It just depends on whether or not they're within our area that we can travel. But I would say we have, well, for the last week we've had a leopard pretty much every single day. We've been watching both a female called Karula as well as a female leopard called Shadow, her daughter. We see lions very regularly, maybe cheetah less so, but I definitely wouldn't call it rare to see a big cat. And Minbok, if you are around and watching, I'm not sure where you're from, if you're from America and you are aware of the Big Cat Week that Nat.Geo Wild does, then you can join us for some of our shows where we will be focusing a great deal on the big cats and the stories of the big cats that we have around our area. Hello, girl. Oh, big yawn. A little bit of back therapy there. Looking so comfortable. I think that maybe that serves as a replacement trip to a chiropractor. But Brent has a water buck to show you, but we'll be back with these hyena very, very soon.
Look at that sky. We just couldn't help but show you. You can see that bulk of that cumulus nimbus, that storm. That's the top of the storm coming through the clouds, and just below them, we'll go have another look at the cloud again shortly, but below them, two big waterbuck bulls. Yeah, that distinct white ring on their bottom. And still you can see the termites coming through, and we'll come back to the waterbuck possibly a little bit later. There we go, there's turning his horns. So I want to show you that cloud again. It's incredible. And now, can you believe that the winds inside these cumulus storms can get up to hundreds and hundreds of kilometers? And I mean, just see that incredible power. Jumbo jets even fly around. So the waterbuck are busy moving off, and we're going to do the same. I just couldn't resist showing you that incredible cloud formation. And while we carry on trying to see what we can find, let's go see what Jamie's up to at the hyena den.
And she's currently now contorted to the point that her entire head has dipped down into the hole, into the entrance of the den. And it's amazing to watch how, as a new mother, and we suspect that she is a new mom, either way her cub is very young. You can see the difference in approaches for a very young cub and an older cub. Every time I've seen her so far, she's been right at the entrance to the den, very close to where the cub is, and that's partly because that little cub is so uncoordinated. Having watched it this morning, it's clumsy, it's wobbly, and it doesn't really want to go too far away from the entrance to the den. So moms know instinctively that in the beginning they have to stick as close to the entrance to the hole as possible. She really has gone head first down into that hole. It's incredibly muggy. As gorgeous as the sky is, you saw that storm approaching. It's very humid. It almost feels like we're at the coast. Oh, big girl. Now what I wanted to do, it's a really interesting question that Brian and myself were just discussing. Let's talk a little bit about hyenas, spotted hyenas, for new viewers. Spotted hyenas are one of the rare exceptions, in fact the only one that I know of, where in the mammal world the females are way bigger than the males, and they have huge amounts of testosterone. And what that's done is it's essentially over the years created an extended clitoris that is shaped like a penis, so it becomes a pseudo penis. I was hoping she might give us a decent demonstration, but just at the wrong angle. And it's one of the only examples of where the urinary tract and the birth canal are fused. So hyenas urinate and give birth through the same organ, which is totally incredible. At the back, instead of having testicles, their labia are sort of shaped in a strange way to resemble them. Now I have a question to pose to, let's see how this plays out, sorry, hold on one moment. No baby, that's not your mom. That's very interesting. Hyena don't allosuckle. At least that's what the textbooks say, that's what researchers say, that they'll only suckle their own cubs. It would have been interesting to see if she allowed it to, but it's highly unlikely. Oh, little one, is there just no more food? Is your mom not obliging either? Shame. I might be imagining it, but it looks sort of disgruntled and rather put off. Oh, sorry, the question I wanted to pose to you guys is one I don't know why it's never occurred to me before. So hyenas, the females have high levels of testosterone. I don't know where that testosterone is produced. My guess is in the ovaries, but that's a very unusual situation. Here comes the cub. It's just by her face. Just catching glimpses. Hello, baby. Come on, little one. You can do it. Oops. Bye. And up again. Oh, come on, Mom. You haven't made life very easy for your baby. He can't get out around you. Oh, those teeth. So fearsome and yet so gentle and maternal. And I think baby White wants to come out for a drink. There we go. Come on, little one, you can do it. You can do it. Oh, almost. Almost, yes. All done. Up and out of the hole. It's obviously a very difficult entrance. That is such a tiny little cub. Only a couple of weeks old at the most. totally black still. Look at that comparison size between heads. I hope you guys are taking lots and lots of screenshots. Oh, little one, you look like you're about to fall back down into the hole. It's so cute. Oh, another big yawn from Mom. It's exhausting looking after that little bundle of fur. Little bundle of fur is trying to climb over Mom. I think there's a chance it wants to go and suckle. But at the moment... Oh, hello. Yes, peekaboo. You're going to be seeing a lot of us, little one. Comfortable and curious. Exploring this new world that it's been thrown into. But with Mom's protection and love, and you're going to fall into the hole again. Or is Mom going to accidentally knock you into the hole? Sliding. Interesting. Be quiet for a moment. Very submissive display from the new mother to the matriarch. Cub has disappeared back into the tunnel. Here we go. It'd be awesome to know what was just said between members of this clan. She's going to go off looking for food. She's very hungry looking. Bye-bye, girl. Good luck. Just making sure that food isn't my tire. She has moved past us. Go and join her. To see where Mom's gone. Oh, it's alright, little one. Mom will be back soon. Making gentle little squeaks. Don't stress, Baba. Mom will come home soon. Yes, you hide in the hole. And you stay there. Okay, that's good. Trying to call Mom back so that it could have some access to food. I don't think it had a chance to suckle, and I think it was hungry. But Mom has gone off looking for food for herself. I'm actually going to now that the adults have moved off, I'm going to leave this den completely because that cub is so young. We don't want to do anything to jeopardize its safety. But let's head out while we can. I'm not sure where the other cub has gone. I think it's going to come running back towards the den very soon. It's much older than this little one, so it's much braver. It is quite important because we've got this privilege that we have the other little cub. It's also going to run back into the den. Yep. And it will stay close to the entrance. Okay, babies. Have a good night. Let's find some good food to feed themselves up. The hyena milk is one of the richest instances of any mammals we have out here. We make our way out of this area. Let's head across to Brent and get an update.
And that is the one thing. So that's a different little cumulus storm that we were looking to. The other one is massive. This one's still building, and you watch how it builds. And when they get right up to the top, it sort of forms an anvil, and that's what gets the name from the anviling. And you can even see the rain coming out of the bottom of that storm. It's a very small storm at the moment, but those storms can build into monsters. And if we head off to the right, you can see the Drakensberg Mountains. Because of the rain, it's just so clear. And you can see them really crisply in the distance. Very little haze. And of course, you just pick up all those dots of the termites going through. So I think with all these termites about, I'm going to try find my way and find a nice little pond or pan. We've seen the terrapins feeding on them. Now let's see if we can find some of my favorite little creatures, the frogs.
What's it doing? We are live, everybody. Sorry. Couple of radio issues here. What I want to show you quickly, first of all, you can see the sunset in the background here. And then you were looking at those hyena recently, and this buffalo skull has been devoured by those very hyena, probably from the same clan on this reserve, and you can see that they've chewed the front of the skull off. And I was noticing, and so was Steph earlier, the most noticeable thing about the hyena that we were looking at was the fact that they have got those immensely powerful neck muscles. They of course support the jaw, which is able to bite off this kind of, well, I mean, it's a very grim picture of what used to be a buffalo's skull. So the nose cavity and everything else has been eaten away. Now I'm going to try something now. We're going to walk outside, Tibbs. I know you're going to be upset with me for this, but we've got some zebra out here, and we might just be able to get a lovely picture of them with the sunset. Tibbs, can you see them anymore? They seem to have disappeared. That is a pity. Well, never mind. Let's go back in. Well, in by that I mean just under the shelter. We're pretty much open where we are anyway. And let's have a quick look at this beautiful jewel beetle. I know you've seen a lot of bugs today. This isn't in fact a bug at all, it's a beetle. And there is a very big distinction. They come from a different order, a bit like the carnivores and the primates. So the carnivores and the ungulates come from different orders, so the beetles and the bugs come from different orders. This here is a jewel beetle of some description. I can't quite identify it. It doesn't have it in the book, but you can see those unbelievable metallic blues. It's like a starling. We can probably call it a starling beetle. Isn't that amazing? Now, unfortunately, I am not hearing anyone in the final control at the moment, but it looks to me like just about everyone else is on a black screen of some sort. So you'll stay with us for a little while, and let's just what I can do is show you a few more little things around here. What we have here, this when I first saw it, I mistook for something else, and I'm not going to go into the details of that particularly embarrassing morning, technologically and knowledge-wise. And that's because the warthog is not a grinder of the food. In the same way that a buffalo or an impala or any of the other ruminants would be. A warthog is a kind of omnivorous beast. It will eat a lot of roots and tubers and that it doesn't have to chew its food and macerate it up and grind it quite to the same extent as many of the other animals do. Right, I think we're going to try and link to Jamie. I'm not sure if that's possible at this stage, lacking a few comms. Let's go across to her. I can see her doing her unique spotlighting style, so let's go across there and I'll see you just now.
And just for James, I'm going to raise my arms. There's a bush baby I'm trying to sneak up on. Brian, do you think you can get it from there? It's right in the middle of my light. Oh, little one. Oh, God. And just think, without my unique spotlighting style, I might not even have spotted it. I hear that James has been discussing a warthog skull with you. Fascinating side that the tent brings to this whole experience. Oh my word, termites! Brian and I are getting I literally opened my mouth to say Brian and I are having some early dinner, and one went straight in. They're quite good for you, in theory, if you're looking for survival techniques. Obviously, I don't need to go out and eat termites. Wild Earth keeps us very well fed. But if you are in a desperate survival situation, eating termites can be a very, very valid source of protein. Now, these are little, but you'd be able to get the soldier termites out if you absolutely had to. It would be a good way of providing yourself with protein. But the point to remember about that is, if you eat a load of termites, they will actually start to give you a bit of an upset stomach, a bit of a runny tummy. And what I've learned is that in order to counteract that, a good way to do that is to then eat the leaves of a silver cluster leaf at the same time. So you have to be careful with the diet that you are consuming out here. The silver cluster leaf, same as that spike thorn, it's got the very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just gone out of my head. But it basically dries up all of your saliva in your mouth, but it's a great way of acting as essentially as Imodium type of medicine. Stops diarrhea and nausea. Interesting little combination of survival skills. I'm going to try and avoid getting to that point of consuming all of these termites, that I have to resort to that. Well, we continue our barrage of flying ants. Brent has a bird to show you.
Isn't this exciting? I don't know if we've seen this bird on the live drives before. I certainly haven't shown it to you guys. I've seen them while I've been tracking. They're a nocturnal bird species. This particular one is called a bronze-winged courser. Very, very cool to have a new bird species. For those of you who keep bird lists, a bronze-winged courser. And obviously taking advantage of the termites. But quite close to the courser, and also taking advantage of the termites, is another one of my favorites. And this looks like to be a little female African bullfrog. Maybe it's really, really full. And you can see the breathing, a wonderful whomping call, sort of whomp, whomp. We're just going to move to try and get a little bit closer. We have a slight problem. I'm going to see if I can fix it quickly. The vehicle seems to have decided not to start. There we go. Bit of a magic touch there. Let's try and get closer to this frog. Start at the back. So you've got it. You can see the nice sort of greeny colouring on this bullfrog. And oh, there's a termite moving in around the front. No, I think this bullfrog has absolutely glutted herself. Look how big her belly is. She probably couldn't fit another termite in her belly. So with this rain, obviously there's lots of different little animals that live in burrows in the ground, in holes. And Sarah in Ohio was wondering, do any of the... Ooh, I see some more. Oh, I see lots of stuff down there. Oh, it seems like we're going to have to try the magic touch again. Sounds like our ignition is just not clicking over. So while I try to fix this problem, let's go see what Jamie's up to.
Oh dear. That's not good. Shame. Poor old Brent. It always seems to happen to him that the vehicles refuse to start. I've spotted a frog. I'm going to see if it's going to pop out again. I don't know, maybe from this angle. Oh, cool. So apparently you guys also saw one of these bushveld rain frogs with Brent as well. Trying to spare him. Oh, in the eye. Come on, termites. We've had lots of heavy rains and a drive filled with bugs and creatures of various descriptions popping out of their burrows and reveling in the change of scenery. But Sarah, you're watching in Ohio, Sarah wants to know, with all of those animals living in burrows, do they ever drown in heavy rain? No, they won't, Sarah. They'll be well aware and able to escape. They're all very coordinated. So I think it would be, if it does happen, to be very rare. Oh my word. Being thoroughly bombarded as we went through that drainage line. Sarah, somebody actually asked me this morning on our very short sunrise safari, if hyena cubs ever drowned. And I said that although I think it's unlikely, I do think there's a possibility, especially when they're very, very tiny, because they're not as coordinated, but hopefully their moms are very on the ball and aware of the different rainfall patterns to help to keep them safe. I think if animals do drown, it's quite a rare situation. They're all well adapted, or far better adapted than us, for example, to the sudden and dramatic weather changes that can happen out here. That rain this morning caught us all. We knew it was, well, we suspected it was going to rain, but the speed at which it went from dry to a deluge was actually quite staggering. Luckily for us though, this evening, it has cleared up to create some of the most spectacular sky views I think I've ever seen out here, and that is saying something. It's actually breathtaking. It's the kind of night that it's like somebody painted the pictures, painted the colors. There are so many termites down my shirt. It's quite phenomenal as well. The sky is stunning. It really truly is. Wow. You are absolutely right. We've had a huge amount of rain this morning, or at least very heavy rain. Short period of time though, so I still think it can't have been much more than about 15 mils. But you were saying, despite how much rain we had, it still looks really dry, and you were wondering if it was a sign of how dry it really was to start with, because the ground is just soaking up the water. And you're absolutely right, it's also a sign of how incredibly strong and hot the sun is when it does come out. It's doing some serious evaporation work. As soon as the sun pops out, it goes straight back up to close to 40 degrees every day. As I said, it's going to take a couple of really serious rainfalls like that. And usually in my experience out in this area, oh, termite is tickling my tummy. It's gone down my shirt. Go, try and get it out. Usually in my experience of the weather in this area, around February, March, you have about a 2-week period where it rains solidly, not like the shower burst that we had this morning. Solid rain for about 2 weeks, all day, all night, just a constant pitter-patter, and that's the sort of rain that we really, really need to actually properly break this drought. We're all incredibly glad, of course, that the rain has arrived, but it's going to take... Oh, hello, Peter. Going to take far more than we've had originally. Peter is out and about. That's very cool. Let me just rest my spotlight. Sorry guys, hold on one moment. There we go. Just shifting around so that I can see him properly over the top of my spotlight. Very cool. Come out for his nightly graze. And you can get an idea of exactly how enormous he is. I came around the corner, I thought I was looking at the biggest buffalo I'd ever seen when I caught him out of the corner of my eye. It is just Peter. You can see the way he's using his lip to pick up the grass, to break the grass stems. Hippos don't really have teeth that act as, or incisors. They've got those incredible spear-like incisors, the tusks for defense and for fighting. They don't really have incisors for nibbling, and that's where that stiff, strong upper lip comes in. Hard to believe that an animal the size of Peter can sustain himself on just the grass. And he must also be having a wonderful time because all of the new fresh green grass shoots are popping up, which must make life far better. And for an animal of his size, he's making absolutely no noise that we can hear from where we are. As we're sitting here, we are, as usual, being bombarded by the termites. Lucy, you were saying they would drive you mad. and that you salute both the presenters and the cameraman. This is nothing. It's the dung beetles when they really start flying around that's the problem. At least we're getting an extra snack before dinner. But when dung beetles, especially the really big dung beetles and the rhino beetles, come flying through, I've had a black eye before, a genuine black eye, I'm not even exaggerating, from being hit in the face by a dung beetle. That was going slightly faster than we do at game drive speed. And I've also had my eyebrow sliced open by the wing case of a dung beetle, so it does happen. It's still so cool to see them coming out. Oh, it's been a nice, cool few days for Peter of the Pan of Djuma. But Paul Ulrud, you were wondering, what do hippos do when it's really hot during the day to cool down? And for the most part, it's very difficult for them to do. The water is quite warm. Obviously, water absorbs the temperature of the outside quite effectively. As long as they stick their backs out and let a little bit of evaporation happen, and they'll be able to cool down. They'll stay roughly the sort of constant temperature of the water. But they don't have any additional cooling mechanisms that I'm aware of. If they're out of the water, which is unusual on a very hot sunny day, but if they are out, they do sweat. They sweat quite a bright red substance that is not only a good sunblock, but it's also wave. And a big thanks to Brian for his fantastic camera work and putting up with all of the flying termites that
we have got all sorts of flying things here that have flown into the termite, not into the termite mound. This isn't a termite mound, it's a tent. Here is a unfortunate large termite, and you've seen them exploding out of the ground as they've gone in search of mates and into Jamie's mouth apparently, trying desperately to try and find a mate and start a colony of their own. This little fellow, I'm afraid, has only got one wing left, so I'm going to put him outside in the hopes that he gets extremely lucky. What an amazing emergence. We were just saying here, Eugene sitting outside helping us with some tech things, the beetles all over the place, and he was just saying, how many do you think in the last hour have emerged from the ground in their termite mounds into this amazing sunset that we have? How many millions, probably billions of termites have disappeared up into the ether, most of which, probably 95 to 99% of them will not survive. You had that incredible African bullfrog that was devouring them there. He will eat, well, certainly not a billion of them, but he'll make a good dent on probably close to 100. And then lots and lots of frogs around. The fish eagles were eating them. All sorts of different things going on. Right, so what an amazing afternoon, and to me it's been so special because we haven't had enormous animals to show you. We've had beautiful little things, little bugs, jewel beetles, those lizards, plated lizards, incredible, living with a mongoose, wonderful, beautiful sunsets and all that sort of thing. So, thank you very much for watching us. Thank you for your time. It's the most valuable thing that you give to us. Thanks Tebs on camera, to Tara and Nikki and Kirsty in the final control. Brent, of course, is now stuck on a vehicle somewhere out in the wilderness. Jamie, the cameraman, I forget exactly who's all working all. We will see you tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Until then, keep safe and strong wherever you are. Bye-bye.